maybe we won't spoil our opinion of this then.
Why bother?
Why bother? This is Why Wasn't It Better? And I am your host, Patrick Darms.
And I'm your co-host, Anton Pross.
And on this episode of Why Wasn't It Better, we're pulling the string one more time with Toy Story 4, the sequel that nobody asked for to a trilogy that already ended perfectly. After the emotional mic drop of Toy Story 3, Pixar reopened the toy chest to send Woody on a new journey. One about purpose, identity, and what it means to move on and make more money. It's beautifully animated, frequently funny, and it introduces scene-stealing plastic spork, having an existential crisis. But it also raises the big question, when a story already said goodbye so gracefully, does revisiting it deepen the theme or dilute the ending? Is this a thoughtful epilogue about self-determination or the franchise version of not knowing when to leave the party? Strap in, because we're headed back to infinity and possibly beyond necessity in the most unnecessary sequel since Toy Story 5, which is hitting theaters in a couple of days. This film was released on June 21st, 2019 by Pixar Animation Studios. It was distributed by Disney, directed by Josh Cooley. The screenplay was written by Andrew Stanton and Stephanie Folsom, and what was already increasingly common for Pixar. We have a lot of story credits here. John Lasseter, Andrew Stanton, Josh Cooley, Valerie Lapointe, Rashida Jones, Will McCormick, Martin Hines, and Stephanie Folsom. Featuring the voices of Tom Hanks, Annie Potts, Tony Hale, Keegan-Michael Kay, Jordan Peele, Madeline McGraw, Christina Hendricks, Keanu Reeves, Ali Mackey, Jay Hernandez, Lori Allen, Tim Allen, and Joan Cusack. The budget, $200 million, adjusted for inflation, that is $255 million. Box office, $1.07 billion. That is $1.36 billion adjusted for inflation. It has a 96% Rotten Tomatoes score, Anton. That is one of the highest we've ever seen on this podcast. Not that Rotten Tomatoes means everything. But Anton, this should be obvious. Neither of us are probably going to make it to the theater in time and get to record an episode on the fifth film, just because of logistics.
Right.
So we thought, why not cover Toy Story 4?
True that.
I saw this in the theater. I assume you did as well.
Of course.
Is there any Pixar film you haven't seen in the theater other than the COVID stuff?
No. It's always been a pretty long-standing tradition. Pixar comes out of the movie, you go to the theaters.
I think Pixar has gotten a little bit of unfair criticism in some regards during the past decade. You know, they've been accused of having sequelitis and really, bowing to the influence of their paymasters at Disney. But if you actually look at their output from the 2020s, it is more original films than sequels. It really is.
It is, and got to give credit when credit is due. They've put out some banger originals, some a bit more under the radar. I was a big fan of Hoppers, which recently released, so
I was as well. I hadn't planned on us covering that, but the fact that it unfortunately doesn't appear to have made a lot of money means that it may qualify for Why Wasn't It Better? But yeah, I really liked that film as well.
And it's a shame to think something like Hoppers is with the poor box office sales is probably going to influence more studio decisions in the future of what to invest in, of course. But I digress.
I sincerely hope not, but of course I know what you mean, because I would bet all of my next paycheck that Toy Story 5 will make over $1 billion.
I mean, that's the thing, though. We don't have to be rocket scientists to figure it out. If I'm the studio execs over at Disney and they're trying to choose the odds of what IP do they need to pick to just have a nice cash surge for the studio, well, it's pretty easy.
It is. There's little point in debating that, I think. I mean, this is not exactly a breaking revelation. Toy Story 5 will make a lot of money.
Yeah. And
so I took my nieces to see Hoppers. They really liked it. By the way, they're both under 10, so they're like the perfect demographic for what Pixar is going for, right? They really liked Hoppers. And then when I asked them, do you know what the next Pixar film is coming out? And they said no. And when I told them it was Toy Story 5, it was all cheers. It was yay! So look, I get it. This is what the kids want. This is what a lot of adults want. Did we want Toy Story 4 at the time?
Personally, I was so confused at the time.
I think a lot of people were. By pretty much every available metric, Toy Story 4 is one of the most successful sequels that Pixar and or Disney have ever done, right? $1 billion,
yeah,
96% Rotten Tomato score. Critics adored it. It won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature.
It's in the top 2 for Disney films box office all time.
It might. I don't know if it's 2.
Okay.
No. I think the Frozen movies made more. I think Incredibles 2 made more.
Top 5, probably.
It might be. It might be top 10. A lot of films make $1 billion nowadays. But regardless, it is one of the most successful sequels they've ever done. And yet, I think amongst Pixar fans, it is more polarizing. A lot of people don't like it for reasons that we're going to get into. I think despite all the success that we've been mentioning here, it's a great candidate for Why Wasn't It Better? Because like you, I was a little confused too. I was like, well, how could they make a sequel to the third one that ended so well? It ended so perfectly. It was this beautiful ending.
Yeah, it's generational. You know, you and I grew up in the same generation, basically. And watching those first 3 films, we grew up alongside Andy as he progressed through those films. It's why that third film just hits so differently.
The third film is fantastic. It was also, it felt like a bonus because that came out so long after the second one that I think maybe I don't know about you, I never thought they really would make a third one. So when they did, it was kind of a surprise. And it was like the most pleasant surprise possible because of how good it was. And
again, just everything about it felt a bit magical. Just trying to find another, there's no other word that I can think of. I mean, of course, it's a huge coincidence, or maybe it's not, that there's this huge generation of kids that were also leaving for college around the same time. I was in my freshman year of college when Toy Story 3 came out. And so you can only imagine the emotional roller coaster that I was going through, along with anyone else around our age in 2010.
Yeah, I had a similar experience seeing that. I was, I'm a few years ahead of you. I was almost done college at that point, but I had the same nostalgia-fueled love for that film. I went to see it with a bunch of people from college, and we all had a similar experience in the theater. It was really satisfying.
Yeah, you're like, whoa, they're really gonna get incinerated?
Yeah, it got deep.
Really?
But anyway, before we get into the production history of Toy Story 4, this is something we do on every episode now, which is the 6 degrees of Warren Beatty's sex life, which is our prevailing theory that all films can be connected via the sexual conquests of Warren Beatty. This film is no exception to that. Keanu Reeves is our connector here, by way of Diane Keaton. Keanu starred in Something's Gotta Give with Keaton, who, of course, dated Warren Beatty. Keanu.
But Jack Nicholson.
Good old Jack.
Good old Jack. Not my favorite Jack Nicholson film.
No. It's not one of the first 10 films that I think of when I think of Nicholson, but...
No, I much prefer
Pretty good movie, actually.
Pretty good movie. I much prefer the films where he's just throwing out slurs left and right.
Which ones is that? It's kind of a lot.
There's a lot of them.
It's a lot. Do you prefer Nicholson when he's playing just a straight up scumbag?
I wish I could say yes, but it's there's so many roles where he's not just a scumbag that are so entertaining. But One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he's a massive scumbag in that film. Famously won an Academy Award. Very, very good role for him.
Chinatown, he's kind of a scumbag.
Yeah.
The Shining, I wouldn't call him a scumbag. He's kind of a loser, though. Actually, he's Actually, you know what?
He's a nutcase in that movie.
Well, doesn't it imply in The Shining that he's hit Wendy a bunch of times when he's gotten drunk?
Yeah, he's
okay. Then he's a scumbag.
He's a scumbag. Few Good Men.
Batman. He's a great guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's a great guy. And
Jack Napier is a real winner until he fell in that acid. Yeah, A Few Good Men. He's a scumbag.
He's a pretty big scumbag there.
Yep. We're seeing a trend here.
The Departed. He's a pretty big scumbag. The Departed. Yeah.
Well, he excelled at it for sure. So that's our 6 degrees of Warren Beatty's sex life. Production history for Toy Story 4. Before Toy Story 3 was even released in 2010, Pixar was thinking about a sequel. I guess they knew what Disney wanted. Tom Hanks publicly stated the following year that the studio was working on a sequel. Then studio head John Lasseter, who had directed the first 2 Toy Stories and produced the third, he was supposed to be returned to direct this one after he wrote a treatment with Andrew Stanton with some input from Pete Docter and Lee Unkrich. And of course, Pixar fans know this, but Pete Docter ended up replacing John Lasseter as the creative head of the studio after Lasseter had some publicity that didn't go his way. Let's just say that. And now he gets a cushy job running Netflix's animation department. But who's counting?
Was he why we got Klaus?
No.
Okay.
That was before him.
Okay.
So we don't give him credit for that.
Can't give him credit for that. Okay.
No. I'm glad you brought up Klaus because we're going to talk about that a little bit later in today's episode. Lasseter explained the decision to make a fourth film was because of, quote, their pure passion for the series. He also stressed that, quote, we do not do any sequel because we want to print money.
It's a funny joke.
But they wanted to just tell a new story. That's great. I'm glad Lasseter was honest about that with everybody. Rashida Jones and Will McCormick joined as writers. I probably should have taken the time to look into that as like why they joined as writers, but I didn't, and now I'm regretting not looking into that. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't. But
well, if any of our listeners do, please write in and tell us.
Yeah, she's just really quickly on Rashida Jones. After acting in 2 Office-style shows, one being The Office and the other being in the Parks and Rec, she's like kind of done everything in Hollywood. She's in production, directing, writing, so it doesn't surprise me she would get some writing done on this film.
We might be able to connect the dots here. I assume by this point in 2010 or 2011 or whatever, she was already a pretty experienced writer and or like TV episode director.
Right.
All right.
That
might have just answered her own mystery there.
In March 2015, Josh Cooley was announced as the co-director. At the D23 Expo in August 2015, Lasseter revealed that Toy Story 4 would be a love story between Woody and Bo Peep, and the story would involve Woody and Buzz Lightyear setting out to find and bring Bo back home. In 2016, prior to allegations of sexual misconduct coming out against Lasseter, Cooley took over as sole director of the film and reconceived the story as well as the purpose of Bo's return to the series. In November 2017, Jones and McCormick were revealed to have withdrawn during production, citing philosophical differences. Andrew Stanton wrote a new script treatment, and by January 2018, Disney had confirmed that the screenplay was being written by Stephanie Folsom, who eventually rewrote 3/4 of Jones and McCormick's original script. Don Rickles intended to reprise his voice role as Mr. Potato Head, but died in 2017 before he could record any lines. Rickles' family contacted Pixar to search ways for his inclusion in the film. Pixar reviewed 25 years of archival material that Rickles had participated in, including unused lines from the first 3 Toy Story films, video games, and other related media for the franchise, and other works, and repurposed them for use within the film. Upon its release, the film was the first of Pixar's, including the 4th Toy Story, to play worldwide without a short. So lame. To this day, it's so lame.
I know. I used to really enjoy going to the theaters and seeing the short before them.
A short film titled Lamp Life revealed Bo Peep's whereabouts between leaving and reuniting with Woody. It is available on Disney+.
Have you seen that?
I have seen it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's
like 20 minutes or so. It's like a legit good short. It's a real short.
They have there's a movie on Disney Plus that includes all of the original Pixar shorts. Have you seen that before?
Is it just like the compilation?
Yeah, and it's just everything, including there was one about like a snowman and a snow globe. And you really see the progression of their animation. It's cool.
You're right. It's a great way to do it. They got longer, and obviously as technology evolved, the animation became far more detailed. And I think it is worth pointing out, Pixar, of course, still makes shorts.
Yeah, they do. It's just not released in pair with major films anymore.
Which I miss that. I really do. Because they didn't used to. They used to do it not just for Pixar movies, but other Disney movies as well. Yeah, and it's also a way to flex the animation advancements in technology. It was especially it didn't slow down during the Steve Jobs era. No. And I mean, he knew how to market, so makes sense. One thing I wanted to add about this film's production, it's not implicitly part of this film's production history, but I think it is worth pointing out. This was originally intended to come out the year prior in 2018. And they swapped the release dates of this film and Incredibles 2. Basically, they accelerated the release date of Incredibles 2, which I think upset a lot of Incredibles fans because it meant Brad Bird had far less time to work on that film than he wanted to. Now, again, he's been real cagey about talking about that.
Oh, yeah, he's not going to say anything bad about the studio.
No. Right, he's a team player, and the studio hasn't really... I don't know if I've ever read like a real explanation for why they did it.
I mean, look, either way, both films made an insane amount of money, so...
Right.
I think they're fine.
I thought it was worth pointing out, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but man, really quick, 2019, Disney cleans up.
They do. Avengers Endgame.
Live action Lion King.
Well, that sucked, but it made a lot of money.
Made a ton of money.
Yeah.
Stupid amount of money. Rise of Skywalker also
kind of broke even.
Still made a lot of money.
Did it?
Frozen 2.
Frozen 2 made a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, not looking at the budget, Rise of Skywalker made over $500 million at the U.S. box office.
I think the budget was like 400 though.
Well, global box office $1.7 billion.
Are you sure it's 1.7?
1.07.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know. I'll bet you Disney looks at Rise of Skywalker and they're like, we didn't like that, the return on that.
Okay. There's a lot of reasons why they're like, you know what? Let's forget.
I can proudly say I have never seen that movie, and I will watch it for the podcast when we have done every other film on our list, Anton. That is my promise to you. When we have covered over 1,000 other films, I will watch that movie. I know I won't like it. I don't even need to see it to know that I won't like it.
After we've covered 1,000 films, you say?
I want it to be like literally the last thing we end up doing. Because I have no interest in ever seeing it. Yeah. It's just one of those movies, I don't need to see it.
I think like in the same vein that sometimes you cover things in classes like case studies, I think that's when it becomes interesting to watch it. Literally just to be like, what the hell? And then like dissect it. That's the interest for me. Would I ever want to watch it for funsies?
It seems like time is being more unkind to that film as it goes along. As the years go by, there hasn't been any revisionism of the sequel trilogies. Like, maybe they weren't that bad. Like, no, they sucked.
Even I had just texted you a couple days ago, you and our guest who was recently on the show, Adam, about changes in the Disney parks reflecting just kind of sweeping more
Galaxy's
of the sequel
Edge.
Sweeping more of the sequel trilogy under the rug. It's like, no, you're probably not going to see Kylo Ren as much, but you're going to see a lot of Darth Vader.
Can I say something nice about Star Wars for a second? I actually don't think The Force Awakens was a bad movie. It was just unoriginal, and they ostensibly did nothing with it.
Yeah.
With the sequels.
Well,
like I saw that movie in the theater. That's the only one of the sequels that I've seen. I saw it one other time after that. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's well acted. It's well made.
There's a lot of people that are gonna say like it's not enough.
No, I agree. Like I don't think it's good because of how unbelievably unoriginal it was. But you know what I mean? Like it had far better acting than the prequels.
I mean, far better acting, but it's interesting to see what's come out since and what actually is considered, quote unquote good. It's still like this mix of, there has to be a little bit of nostalgia, but then like, we do like new characters. How much of the universe actually excites us versus how much of it we really like specific characters and things in the universe. I'm pointing specifically at like The Mandalorian. It's like, it's kind of original, kind of not really. Andor is like a more current modern example. Like people really love it, but it's like kind of unique, but kind of not. I don't know.
I've retired from Star Wars. I'm done. But we're not here to talk about Star Wars.
No, we're not.
We're here to talk about Toy Story 4. And before we talk about that, as always, we want to thank everyone for listening and sharing our content with others and recommending our podcast to others. The growth that we see is great, and it's thanks to you, our listeners. If you are new to the podcast, please follow, please subscribe. Please leave a 5-star review wherever you listen or watch your pods. We encourage you to leave comments on YouTube and Spotify. You can follow us on social media platforms like Instagram, X, and best of all, Letterboxd, where you can see our full list of films that we intend to cover. And if you really like what we're doing and you want to throw a few bucks our way, head on over to our Patreon and become a patron. You can support the show directly, get early access to episodes ad-free plus bonus content. All right, Anton, Toy Story 4. Why wasn't it better? Let's start with the number one reason, the obvious reason. The story was already complete. This is unnecessary. And before I let you respond to that statement, I have to say there are plenty of people that love this film and love what it did and will tell you that it was necessary. Why are they wrong?
They're absolutely... What? That is crazy. That is a crazy take.
You can go on the Pixar subreddit right now and find a bunch of posts about why this movie was great for the character development of Woody.
Well, before I start to even try to fathom of how they could come up with such a conclusion, I have to realize these are basement dwellers that are drinking lead. Okay, jokes aside, the original first 3 films are a perfect trilogy. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes. Not only would I agree with that statement, you could reasonably make the case before this film came out, it was the greatest trilogy of all time. Yeah, of any film ever, any film series.
So rare, right? So rare that you find any series that evolves the way that the first, second, and third did. That improved in animation, improved in storytelling, character development improved, and each one complements each other so perfectly. And then what you get? You get a generational trilogy that is just absolutely. I hate to use the term just because it's used so frequently, but it's very goated.
100%, yes. And then this film came along.
When you approach any cultural monolith, and you think to yourself, and someone thinks like, well, we should get a sequel. I think it's always gonna beg the question of, do we actually need it? Why would we? What else is there to say about it?
Yeah,
there are very few. I think like you probably agree with this. It's just let it be, let something successful or let something that is legendary, just let it be, right?
Yes. I actually went in to see this in the theater with an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go in determined to hate this film. By the way, I don't hate this film. I actually think it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But I get very serious Godfather 3 vibes from this, where we're eventually going to cover Godfather 3. And there are things in The Godfather 3 that I like, that I think are pretty good. Mm-hmm. You agree with me on that, right? There's good stuff in The Godfather 3.
Yeah, there's some pretty good stuff.
But watching this film, there is no point watching this where anything that happened in the film that had me thinking, yeah, this needed to happen. I needed to see this. This needed to be told.
Yeah, and I think that's where trying to put it even just tangibly into like examples from the story, you can look at the first 3 and see, again, they're just perfect complements. If the first one is about like identifying your place in things, the second one is about identifying like your value and worth, and the third is about like accepting change and moving on. I think that you find each of the, like, that thematically is at its core, they're probably really hard to be able to make like a trilogy of films around, like much less like children's animated films, right?
Yeah, I would say yeah to that. And you know how at the top of the production history I said how Pixar was thinking about making a sequel to this before the third one had even come out?
Yeah.
Now they may say that, and for all we know, that's true. Look, it probably is true. But I just don't see how they make the third film. They watch the ending of that film and think that needed a sequel.
I think an artist would see that and say, all right,
well,
goodbye.
If you're going to make a sequel to that film, why end it that way? Like, if you go back and watch Toy Story 3 now, that was very clearly supposed to be the end of whatever saga they were trying to tell.
Yeah,
it is such a obvious setup to end the story of all those characters, primarily Woody. That's how their story was supposed to end. You can like this movie, you can defend the fourth film all you want, but you can't tell me that it wasn't supposed to end with the third one.
Yeah, and like, let's think about it too. What do you realize by the end of the third film? You realize by the end of the third film, the toys have accepted that their kids are going to grow up, but at the same time, like, they know what makes them happy, and they know what their value and self-worth is, and it includes being with each other, being in their community, and just making children happy. And that's why they're there, to be with Bonnie and to also just accept and embrace this new generation.
Right.
And
we get the handoff. It closes a loop.
Yeah. And with that, you know what you can already theorize what the next step is. It's the kid's going to grow up. The toys are going to grow up with the kid. And that's the cycle continues. So you think that is a very natural conclusion, and at the same time it's a very beautiful film in the sense of they were able to capture that in a very tight way. Again, just 3 films and you end it very definitively. So okay, if I'm a writer, I think, what else do I have to say about that? Probably not much, right?
Well, they came up with something. And in many ways, what they came up with for this film is a good movie. It checks a lot of boxes. I think it does do something different, which we like in a sequel. Yep. Here on Why Wasn't It Better?
Something different. Okay, that's one checkbox.
It is funny in keeping with classic Pixar fashion. I think the humor is very good.
Yep.
The dialogue is snappy and witty, which is, again, what you want out of Pixar, especially a Toy Story movie. One of the best things about Toy Story is the dialogue between the characters. It's witty, it's sarcastic, it checks that box. The animation is beautiful. I don't think Pixar can do anything bad looking at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as memorable as the other films in terms of the set pieces. I was actually struggling. I'm like, what are the actual set pieces in this film? Because I think we take it for granted with animation. Pixar is one of the best production studios at actually doing action.
That's true.
They really are. I don't think they get enough credit for it, but I think about what are some of the best action movies of the past 30 years. You don't think of Finding Nemo as an action movie. It has amazing action in it. The Incredibles, that's the obvious one. The Toy Story films have great action in them.
The airplane chase scene in Toy Story 2, magnificent.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The whole final 20 minutes or 15 minutes of the first film when they're trying to get on the moving incredible. Truck. It's fantastic.
It's great. It's true. No, you make a really great point. And it's that much more difficult translating that groundedness and physics and just feeling weight into animation. So they're masters at what they do. It's true. All right, where does Toy Story 4 fit in?
I think it has the weakest action of the 4. And I don't think it has bad action. Again, it's pretty good. It's a little bit I don't know. I just don't find it. The whole thing with the fairground at the when they're at the carnival at the end.
Well,
it's not as memorable to me.
I think part of it being not as memorable, and I think that once you approach something like Toy Story and trying to continue the story, is that there's a lot of expectations around how the characters should be or what makes a Toy Story film. And a Toy Story film is very concrete in who our characters are, what their motivations are, and how we expect them to act. And in Toy Story 4, it really does flip that a bit. You don't get a lot of characters as you expected. The characters act a bit differently. And I think if that's a direction the movie wants to go in, okay, but why do it after you've already established so strongly after 3 films, like the core of what these characters and universe is? And also with a very interesting premise, which, we can talk about more later, but I think it just kind of comes back down to we already had a very well-established and perfect story with the trilogy. So if you're going to tell a distinct story to follow up to it, I feel like it has to be a commentary on the first 3, and I don't think that the 4th one was a commentary on the first 3 films.
No, it felt like they were just piggybacking off the theme of letting go.
Yeah, if anything, that makes me feel like, okay, so then the 4th film's a bit of bloat.
Yeah, and I think it's a good movie, but a bad sequel.
Yeah, because
pretty good movie.
When it comes down to it, it's a pretty good movie. I'll agree with that. But I think I want the film, my expectations if we were going to have another Toy Story 4 film after I'd seen Toy Story 3 is, what else do you have to say about these characters or the themes in the universe? And 4, like you said, is a bit of a retread.
Well, I think you're getting into the next reason then, which is that it undermines the core themes in Woody's arc. And I have a quote for you from the director of this film, Josh Cooley. He said, quote, "It had to have meaning to it so that it left as important as the last one." I knew that there had to be a major change to Woody, end quote. Now, if you're taking that sentence at face value, I think they succeeded at doing that. This is a major change for Woody's character. What happens to him in this film? Do you respect the film for at least doing that, for at least trying to do something different with Woody?
Respect is such an interesting word. I have to respect a unique... Yeah, I do have to respect that they wanted to go in a different direction. Am I pleased in the direction they took? No. I think that's my stance.
I essentially agree with what you're saying. I respect them for doing something different, but I don't respect them for what they were basically saying is that actually Woody was wrong.
Or that Woody, whatever Woody realized by the third film, he's willing to push it aside.
Across the 3 films, Woody learns, feel free to add to this.
Yeah.
Purpose comes from being there for a child.
Right.
Loyalty matters, not just to the child, but to your
his
whole
community,
crew of toys,
his friends,
his community.
His family,
he was the sheriff, he was the leader, and then with that leadership comes sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly.
Toy Story 4 basically says, actually, you should probably just go freelance if your kid doesn't want to play with you anymore.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
That doesn't feel like character growth for me. That feels like retconning a character's philosophy. And again, this is just my take on it. I know plenty of people seem to like this path towards that Woody took. No,
I agree with you. It's so disheartening to see how much love and care that Woody had for Andy. And we felt that very wholeheartedly as an audience all the way to the third film. That it just is so jarring to see the perspective change in Toy Story 4. It just seems like completely undermining anything we've learned about the character, that he's willing to just very flippantly just say bye. And he seemed pretty invested in being there for Bonnie until he wasn't.
She was invested in being there for him. If you go back and watch the end of the third film, Andy tells Bonnie that Woody is his favorite toy. He's really precious to him. And then this film just decides to make Bonnie stop liking him, which obviously that could happen with a toy. But again, what is this actually doing to move? I just don't know what it's doing to move the saga forward in any way.
I think like that's where this kind of touches on the first point around, do the first 3 films need a sequel? And I think that's the dangerous thing. And when I say dangerous, I just mean like it just tarnishes the legacy. Because once you have such a perfect perspective on like the Woody character, the POV, I think if you're gonna continue like a Toy Story universe film, just use a different character. Or like just come up with a new character. Have that be the focus. Don't, if you have a story...
we got a new character in this one.
Well, I'd say like, let's have a complete reshift. Why try to change the DNA of a character that is already completely realized just for the sake of a narrative that is just going to confuse the audience? Especially when I think of the road that it takes. It reflected a lot of late 2010s films that take a bit more of a moodier main character, or just a more disgruntled main character that has to find like some sort of journey, that goes through a journey where they're questioning existence and trying to identify through self-actualization. I'm looking at Logan actually as a lot of an example for this. I've read about some parallels, and
a good example of it, you mean?
Yeah, and it's a good example, but I think like a lot of that aesthetic and success for the Logan franchise, you can see a lot of it paralleled with the direction they took Woody in this film. And again, just because you chose that particular character and you do it for Toy Story 4, it just feels really confusing.
And the Logan franchise, or the Wolverine franchise, whatever you want to call it, that also went through a lot of crap to get there. I mean, to get to Logan, we had to go through X-Men The Last Stand, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
You got to get through a lot of
whatever that. What's the one in Japan called? The Wolverine, which was like,
oh yeah, I think it was the Wolverine.
I think it's called. But like, it took a while to get to Logan, and like, I think Logan is a really good movie, and I know what you're like. I take your point, but Toy Story wouldn't have had the same affordability. Like if we had gotten, if Toy Story's like 6, 7, and 8 had stunk. And everyone's like, well, 9's pretty good.
Yeah, I really like that. It's like saying, it's as though like you took a character from the Toy Story universe and then put them on this like existential journey, and then suddenly like, whoa, Ham's such a cool character. He went through through that character arc.
I guess it always had to be Woody's arc in a way. Now,
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen more from Buzz because the first and second films establish Woody and Bud as like the two main characters.
Yeah.
Buzz is a little bit less prominent in the third one, but he's still huge.
He's still huge.
Not nearly as much, which we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I think if you're getting down to, if you're just going to boil it down, like why this film does not appeal to me as a sequel is in every prior film, they made it clear what the mission of a toy is. And then this film goes and changes it.
And I think it's just, if the film wants to say like the mission of every toy is different, okay, fine. But I think in terms of execution, go ahead, undermine your story, and then completely undermine your main character in that same vein. And I think like it just feels weird. It just feels like improper storytelling. I don't think it serves any purpose for the first three films.
No, and I think you said something kind of funny. It's like, every toy might have a different purpose. It's like, okay, that's what this film is saying. But ultimately, I think it's getting too philosophical and too deep. We're talking about toys.
Right. Like
they're not people. Like, yeah. I understand the film treats them like people. It treats them like very complex characters, but we're driving off the road a little bit.
Yeah. It's like these toys do have a purpose. Their purpose is to be toys. Look at your karate chop action.
Their purpose is to be played with by kids.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, whatever metaphors we want to come up around like this is about going through childhood and like accepting like growing up and what toys mean in terms of representing like the innocence of childhood. Then yeah, like that's their part in it. But in terms of just in terms of interpretation of like undermining the core themes of the first three films, it's just too much for me, man. It's just too jarring.
Sounds like you're getting started on the next reason there, buddy, which is returning characters are mishandled.
Ooh, goodness gracious.
Because this film chooses to focus heavily on Woody and Bo Peep with a little Forky thrown in there, right?
Yeah, it's
comes at the expense of every other character.
Yeah, Bo Peep goes missing. Toy Story 2. So
this shows how she goes missing,
right
in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Which is how many years? Is it 7?
Yeah.
Okay. What did they do to Buzz?
They there's a really really great YouTube like a video analysis channel that I like called Nerdstalgic, and he referred to Buzz's character as a himbo. I'm like, oh, that's a good way to put it.
Is that a polite way of saying the R word? Because this film treats him like he's special needs. Like, did he get a lobotomy between the third film and this? It's ridiculous.
He's very airheaded. It's really perplexing to see because he's not the first three films do not establish him as an idiot.
No, he's not I wouldn't say he's as sharp or as sarcastic as Woody is, but this film would have you believe he's not able to like understand like basic decision making.
No, the first three films do establish that he is a bit more by the book, but also naive.
Right, naive. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yes. But
there's nothing that would ever indicate that, he's not capable as a friend or not capable as just as an individual or a leader, because he does have strong leadership capabilities. Once you get to the fourth film, Buzz is just not Buzz. I don't think he's Buzz by the fourth film.
I think it's blatant disrespect to the character.
Not that you get a ton of Buzz either, by the way.
You don't get a ton of it, and like I said, I think it's disrespect what they do to his character.
Yeah.
Because again, I had very fresh perspective. I watched the first three very recently, like within the past couple weeks, to prepare for this, and it is not the same character at all.
No, and I think that's where I mean, if people want to look at like a really good example of storytelling decision making that just feels off, like another reason that truly undermines characters that we love from the first three films. Now, I'm trying to see this from the perspective of the studio of well, like, we don't want to make it too serious, and we want kids to really like the Buzz character. So what if we dumb him down a little bit? It'll make kids laugh. And in that kind of studio decision making it's stereotypically what we would expect of bad franchises, of bad films, or the kind of decisions that we just frown at because we know it's really meant to just placate the masses to make more at the box office, which
that is precisely why it's a good movie but a bad sequel, because what they do with his character is, in a vacuum, funny.
It's funny.
I laughed at a bunch of it.
It's funny.
It is disloyal to the character of Buzz that was established across the first 3 films, and that's why it's a bad sequel. The other part of it, too, you said they did you say they shortchanged a lot of the other characters, like the other toys, Rex, Slink, Ham? I mean, you're right. They don't feature them much at all. They're in the film, but each one gets only a couple of lines.
They're very sidelined. There's a lot.
This is actually, I think, one of the flaws of it, right? We wanted to see more of them, but if you're going to do Woody becomes a lost toy, fully commit to that. They obviously wanted to feature Woody as a lost toy here. At least we see, Woody be going off on his own and existing in the non-Andy, non-Bonnie world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's living vicariously through Bo Peep for a little bit. But this film also kind of gets caught in that halfway house where they're like, well, we need to bring all the other toys back and we need to keep them in the film because that's what audiences want. We can't just have Woody go off and have a whole new set of toys. We got to bring back the whole crew. We want them to be removed from the story, but not too far removed.
Yeah, well, we can't have them too far removed because if we have people forget who they are, how can we sell the merchandise with their face on it? See, like,
that's probably part of it.
You can really see all the fingerprints of, well, the Toy Story movie needs to have this, and this. To make it more palatable for a new audience, let's make sure it's extra, extra funny in this part. So let's make it Buzz a little dumb. Should we give Slinky more lines? No, but make sure we put it in because we still want to sell Slinky toys.
Another character thing I could not stand. Bonnie abandoning Woody.
Man, makes no sense.
It doesn't make sense, especially after the third one.
Yeah, I don't think we have to go down that road too much more, but it's just disappointing.
Yeah, I don't know how much more there is to say about that. It was a bad decision. She doesn't even seem to like him in this film that much. She's like, oh, hey, Woody. Yeah.
I think there's the disinterest, the character that we do get that she invents. What are your thoughts?
Dumb.
Yeah.
Oh, Forky?
Forky.
Yeah, let's go into the next reason then, which is sort of related to the third reason, but it's the weak execution, right? Plot, characters, overall impact. I feel like we're being really harsh on this film. I think pretty negative so far from us.
It deserves a lot of criticism.
I know where you're leaning.
I mean, I know
you want to be kind to a Pixar film. I know you do.
But I also know like where I mean, you said it. It's like we can criticize the Buzz decision and making him dumb, and like that completely undermines the Buzz character that we've met in the first 3 films. But it was funny, and people do enjoy that. If they didn't grow up with the first 3 films, it probably doesn't bother them. It hurts to say, but it's true.
Forky, what do we think?
Not the biggest fan.
No, I thought he was idiotic. I like the vocal performance from Tony Hale.
I love Tony Hale.
I suppose you can make the case that Buster is supposed to be annoying because he is annoying in this film. I don't know. As far as new characters go,
I think you get a very different story than what I would have expected introducing a Forky character. I mean, him trying to like throw himself in the trash all the time is pretty hilarious.
It's funny. Yeah,
it's funny.
This movie's funny. It's definitely funny.
Yeah. Also, like, if you think about it, like, basically, like, Woody's just trying to talk this dude from, like, jumping off the cliff every time. Like, it's pretty hilarious, actually, when you think about it. But I just think you get a very different film if you go a different direction with Forky. Or at least, like, in terms of them fitting in the story as a whole, like, I don't know. I just Forky's just a weird inclusion.
I was pretty uninterested in him as a character. It's just personal preference. At no point where I was just like, oh man, I'm glad he's here.
Yeah. For a lot of people, endearing, cute, whatever.
Not my cup of tea. I felt kind of the same way about the 2 Bunny and Ducky characters, Keegan-Michael Kay and Jordan Peele. Funny for a little bit, kind of the same jokes over and over. Although their plan to get the keys from the old shopkeeper is the funniest part of the film, for sure, where they're just attacking her.
I think that their back and forth and their chemistry, it translated really well into animation. It's why they're a great comedy duo. And I actually really love their dialogue together. I think that I could definitely see what you mean, like growing a bit tiresome of their back and forth, because also it's no different from what's their Skit and Key and Peele, where they're basically the same characters. The valet,
I don't know.
like the valet skit characters.
Well, I mean, you're right. Like their back and forth is very funny, but they don't move the plot forward in really any way. They're always in the background talking to each other. And yeah, it's funny, but you get to a character like Duke Kaboom.
Mm-hmm.
He moves the plot forward. He's integral to the rescue of Forky. Bunny and Ducky, not really. They're just kind of along for the ride. Their whole thing is like, oh, you can help us find a kid. You have a kid. That's it. They're superfluous. They're fine. They're fluffy, whatever. Like they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
But Duke Kaboom, I liked his character quite a bit. I liked Keanu Reeves' vocal performance. His whole thing with the flashback of Rajan. That's great stuff. Like that's classic Pixar humor. That's exactly what you want from this type of film. All the digs at Canada, like yes, you can, yes, I Canada.
Yeah, it's I think, I don't know, would you go see a film if it had Duke Kaboom as the main character?
As the main character?
Mm-hmm.
No, probably not.
Or at least but there is something about it where it's a more realized character. There's more, I feel like a big part of that is Keanu Reeves also does a really good job with his voice acting.
Oh, he's great.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is if you're introducing, they're going very heavy-handed with introducing a new set of characters. It's like part of me just says, just commit. Bring us a new movie. If you want to do the Toy Story universe, give us a totally new movie. Give us a new main character.
Or like I was saying before, if you're going to make Woody a lost toy, make him truly lost.
Right.
Here, he gets lost. He falls out the back of the RV to rescue Forky. By the way, a toy ain't walking 5 miles. That's not happening.
No, that's too far.
I mean, whatever. It's a cartoon. Who cares? But it's like, if you're really going to make him a lost toy, then make him truly lost. Put him in an environment where maybe he runs into Bo Peep and that's it. But just do a totally new set of characters if you're going to take things in a new direction. That's, I mean, they were playing this too safe. And we know from the trailers of Toy Story 5, he apparently ends up back with Bonnie, I guess.
For some reason, which, like, at least...
I don't know. We don't know yet. We haven't seen it. Obviously, it hasn't come out yet.
But we can make a lot of inferences. One thing that I think story decision telling wise is I'm glad that they're finally addressing, like, the concept of what types of toys capture kids' attention more, because like it's the leapfrog thing or like whatever the robot thing they have, like it's basically like it's just the catch-all for like technology is capturing kids' attention more than like toys nowadays,
right?
Which I think that's very apt. And
sounds like that should have been Toy Story 4, which I think you said earlier.
It really should have, because at least that's a much more natural pathway.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Than whatever they did with 4. Because 4 was like, well, you've learned all about Woody. Well, want to see what else he does? He questions everything about his existence, and he doesn't actually care about kids. So there you go.
The other major new character is our antagonist, Gabby Gabby.
Gabby Gabby.
What do we think of her as I won't call her a villain because she ends up good in the end.
She's the antagonist.
She's the antagonist. What do we think?
Confusing, because they can't commit to a character either being like fully bad. I don't know. Again, I really don't know how having her character going good at the end is able to, I don't know, sell your story better or just tell a story more effectively. It just...
I suspect they just wanted to do something different with their villain and like, well, we'll end up making her good because all the other villains, Sid, no good. Prospector Pete. Is it Prospector Pete?
Yeah, Prospector Pete.
No good. Or is it?
Yeah, he's hilarious though. Oh my gosh.
Great villain, Kelsey Grammer, great vocal performance. He ends up not being redeemable, right? He still tries to screw the characters over, and then you get Lotso Bear, who's pure evil.
He's evil, but like you know his tragic backstory.
You do know his tragic backstory, but he's evil because he's given multiple opportunities to do the right thing and chooses not to.
Yeah, and I feel like that serves a purpose in the story.
It does.
It's like you can have a tragic villain, but they don't have to turn good at the end. That's fine.
Now, Gabby Gabby turns good at the end, and we're supposed to feel sympathy for her. And I mean, you do, but
Right.
This is a character who resorts to kidnapping, blackmail, and really only does the right thing after Woody agrees to let himself be mutilated by her for her own selfish gains. I would say, and this is why I think I totally agree with you about confusing. I came away, I'm like, she's completely evil.
Yep, completely.
And Woody choosing to help her at the end is weird. It did not work for me.
Makes no sense.
It doesn't. Why would you help her? You could make a case she is the most evil villain in the 4 films because of what she does.
Yeah, but I think that it's a different direction. I think that I can totally see from the perspective of the studio, like, hey, let's have like a villain. She's pretty bad, but don't worry, she becomes good at the end. I think kids will really love that.
Right. No, yeah, I know why they did it. It just doesn't work for me. Or you. Yeah. Now, I'll say this about her character. Benson and the other, like, what kind of dolls are they? Ventriloquist dolls?
Yeah, I think that's the way to put it.
Benson and the other ventriloquist dolls, genuinely creepy.
Oh, super creepy.
Great animation. I love how they don't really talk, and Benson's like, It's so perfect.
Yeah.
Love the Shining reference.
Love that.
Great stuff from Pixar there. Again, there is like legit great stuff in this film. I don't want to sleep on this film's strengths because I think there are many of them. I mean, I love the jokes.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we can be very, very critical of the film and of these aspects. And if there's anything noticeable, it's about how it doesn't fit into the greater universe of things. It just doesn't fit. And I think
as a sequel, it's just as a sequel, it doesn't work.
And I think like that will always be held against the film. And at least even in my eyes, something that will always detract from my enjoyment in it. I think that as a film, it does a lot of things right. Pixar does animation better than anyone. They really know what they're doing when it comes.
Have they ever made a bad movie? I don't think they have.
A bad movie?
Cars 3 is like the closest thing to bad I think I've seen from them. Now, I haven't seen everything they've done. I haven't seen The Good Dinosaur. I haven't seen Turning Red or Luca, or I don't think I've seen
seen Turning Red. I've seen Turning Red. It's not bad. I've seen Luca. It's not bad. And I've seen Onward. Not bad.
You haven't seen The Good Dinosaur?
I've never seen The Good Dinosaur.
Okay. Yeah. Would you agree Cars 3 is the closest thing they've done to a bad movie? Where I just don't have any interest in seeing.
Yeah, it's like it's all right. Yeah,
it's fine. And this is far, far better than a bad movie. Like if anyone listening right now, like who thinks, we've been harsh on this, like I think this is a good movie.
Yeah, technically, it's very sound. It's a hilarious film. It's hilarious.
Did you hear the Buttercup the Unicorn's plan to keep them there? He's like, we'll frame the dad for a crime he didn't commit. Like it's
diabolical and like hilarious for a kid's film.
Yeah. There's a ton of jokes like that in this movie that really made me laugh.
I love Key and Peele's back and forth by the way, as these adorable characters. I think there's just something so hilarious with the sight gag with that.
Yeah.
But just in terms of the overarching problem, which is it's a sequel to an all-time great trilogy, and it does not live up to any expectation. And it just sucks because then it's almost like...
It's like The Godfather 3.
I'm trying to think of
like a better movie than The Godfather 3. But it's the same problem for me. It's just like, I don't really see why this needed to happen.
Yeah, it's like you look at some directors, some film franchises, and you really respect them for just not approaching sequels in the same way that we typically do here in the States. I'm specifically referencing like Studio Ghibli. They'll never approach those films with sequels.
Have they done a sequel?
I can't they have. Okay, so they have, but it's very like not necessarily a Miyazaki film. Like there's this film The Wind Rises, and a sequel to that is called like The Cat Returns. It's okay.
Yeah, but does anyone even know that's a sequel?
Yeah, it's very unknown. But just imagine, like to me, like it's the equivalent of someone's I'm being told they're gonna make a Spirited Away 2. Or like a My Neighbor Totoro 2. That makes no sense. Like, what else are you going to say? It was a complete story. Those films are complete stories.
You know what this film is? I thought of an even better example.
Mm-hmm.
Thought of an even better comparison. It's the
98
fourth Indiana
Bulls.
Jones movie. Last Crusade ended
Jeez.
so perfectly, and I think I like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull better than you.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't covered it, but I just get the sense from our conversations about it. I think there's good stuff in that film. Didn't need to be made. Wasn't necessary. Doesn't really work for me as a sequel.
Yeah. Wow, man. Dial of Destiny was one of our earliest episodes.
And even that, we didn't even give that bad marks. I think we gave that like a C or C plus. Like, I haven't rewatched it since. I don't have any interest in it.
The idea of watching that just sounds so boring. Just if anything else, it just sounds very boring.
You haven't seen it since either, right?
No. But I think like that's the interesting thing about Toy Story 4. I hate to admit it, it has a lot of rewatchability. Watching this with the family, like
I don't think it does at all.
Yeah. With my family, it's really easy to put on.
Maybe it's easy to put on. Would you put this on yourself?
Personally,
if you watch the first three, would you be like, oh man, I can't wait to put on Toy Story 4?
No. But I think like it's a self-serving purpose of it is really good for families. It's really good for kids.
But that's any Pixar movie fits that bill.
But none of them. But I think like the sad part is this film serves again as just a gateway for a younger generation to get into the films with better animation, a new set of toys, but it's still at the same time they can still sell all of the old toys from the original first three films. And it's still very digestible. It's still pretty good. And I mean, it is a film that I can put on in our house, whether it's like all our nieces and nephews. My daughter's still not old enough to comprehend Toy Story 4, but I'm sure when she's older, she's going to say like, wow, like this is really fun. And I'm going to tell her, well, let me tell you about the first three.
Right. I would hope for the sake of your child, you would show her the first three before this. Please don't do that to her. That's like, true. In fact, if you ever do that to her, don't tell me. Because I don't want to know. That's like showing a kid the Phantom Menace before the original trilogy.
She'll be like, Uncle Pat, have you ever seen the first Toy Story film, Toy Story 4?
Can I give you a hot take?
Yeah.
I would rather watch Lightyear again than this.
I can see where you're coming from.
I don't think Lightyear's a great movie either.
I don't think it's a horrible film.
No, it's not horrible.
Yeah.
I don't really know what it was supposed to do or serve. It's not a sequel, but it's far enough removed from the actual story of Toy Story that it's not committing character assassination like this film does.
It's just incredibly dark and sad.
Yeah, and in some ways it is. Now, I find Toy Story 4 far less rewatchable than something like Incredibles 2. Now, Incredibles 2 was pretty unoriginal, and it just was basically a rehash of the first film. But the reason why I like that better than this is you can watch it back to back with the first film and treat it like one long story.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Incredibles 2 doesn't have the problem of being unnecessary. We all wanted that sequel. I mean, the first Incredibles ends with the perfect sequel setup. You're like, well, what's their next adventure?
That's true.
This had a different issue, right? Because there was so much hype and anticipation for Incredibles 2. And everybody liked it, but nobody loved it, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of hype for Toy Story 4, I feel like. Just kind of like, well, you put it, I mean, perfectly earlier. There was confusion.
Yeah, a lot of confusion. I was very confused.
And I liked it when I saw it in the theater. When I came out of the theater with my wife, we were talking about how much we liked this film.
And again, it's packaged with nostalgia.
It is. Before we wrap this up, because I think we're just about through the notes, I want to bring something up that I didn't think about until recently.
Mm-hmm.
So this won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars.
Yes, it did.
This is one of the most egregious Academy Award snubs, I think, of the past 20 years. Because this beat Claws. Told you we talk about Claws again.
Interesting. That is very, very fascinating.
You haven't thought about this either, right?
I have not thought about this. That is fascinating.
Here's where it gets bad.
Okay.
This is why it's bad. I read some of the Academy voters said they only voted for this film because they recognized the name. A lot of them didn't even bother to see Claws.
Doesn't shock me. If you want to hear more about our frustration with the Academy Awards, go watch our Oscars episode.
Do you agree with me this is one of the most egregious snubs?
Yeah, that's fair.
This had no business winning Best Animated Feature.
No, it's just...
Claws is, I think, a masterpiece.
This is one of those years where Pixar was going to get nominated no matter what, but...
They always get nominated.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Elio got nominated, and that movie's...
This should not have won. The fact that it did is mind-boggling.
It's not mind-boggling if you think about what the Oscars actually are, though. Where they're like, "Oh yeah, we didn't even see the other film." Of course you didn't.
I forgot. I was thinking in my mind about like the objective awards ceremony where good, actually great films are rewarded properly.
Now I wonder, this year will be interesting to me. Will Hoppers get nominated, or will Toy Story 5?
That's
maybe both.
Maybe both, but Toy Story 5 is going to win.
I hope not. Well, I can't say that. I haven't seen it.
That's true. I think
maybe it's going to be great. I don't know.
It's just so tough. Like Toy Story, like Pixar competing with itself with Hoppers. I don't even know if they'd want to submit Hoppers for consideration.
I think it's a better look for them if they submit Hoppers.
Yeah. The more I think about it, like the more we talk about Hoppers, the more I just really loved Hoppers, and like I want to watch it again. Like it's a really
I can't wait to watch it again.
Like it's such
I don't think it's on Disney Plus yet because it hasn't been out of theaters long enough.
Yeah, it tugged on the heartstrings in the right way.
Yeah, and it was funny and quirky and original, and like it was really. I don't want to say it was a risk for Pixar. It was darker than some stuff they've done before, though.
Yeah, but it was like it still had this like very like not edgy humor, but edgy humor.
Yeah, edgy for Pixar. Yeah,
edgy for Pixar. Yeah. Like very edgy humor that was very appealing, and it made me really think of good Pixar. Really, really good Pixar.
Because it was good Pixar. All right, Anton. Ratings.
Okay.
What do you think?
I know we talked about this really early on before the recording. And I want to just keep my rating very, quick. I think this is a all right movie. There's nothing technically bad about it. It's still Pixar. It's still like pretty enjoyable, but just everything else about the film, it just hurts because again, how it undermines an incredible perfect trilogy. But again, as a film by itself, I think that it's fine. I actually do feel like there's a lot of rewatchability as a family-friendly flick, and it's just so approachable and just very funny. And it hurts me to say it, but I give this film a B-. There's a lot more here that I think is still very rewatchable in the long run. As a soulless cash grab Pixar film is what it is for me.
I can't go that high. I think by most metrics, you're right. This is a good movie. It's funny. It's got great dialogue. It's got genuinely emotional moments, scary moments, thrilling moments. We didn't talk about the music. As he tends to with Pixar, Randy Newman provides a good score. He did some new songs for this. I don't even remember what they are. They're not memorable, in my opinion. Of course, we have to hear You've Got a Friend in Me for the 5th time. It's animated beautifully, as Pixar does. We could have a conversation about, is the animation too photorealistic at this point for Pixar when it's supposed to be cartoons? There's no right or wrong answer to that question, but think about it. But as a sequel to Toy Story 3, this is completely unnecessary. It does a lot of storytelling things with these characters that just do not work for me. I agree with you about the rewatchability. With a family, myself, I would never put this on again. Sure, with my family, of course, this is a very easy, accessible movie to put on. It pleases a lot of people. It's a real 4-quadrant movie. And that's probably why it made $1 billion. It's probably why Toy Story 5 is going to make $1 billion. But I just can't go into the B territory because of how harshly this treats Woody and Buzz and their arcs. It's almost to the point of disrespect. It's like the filmmakers hadn't watched the first 3 films. It's like they had no idea what the first 3 films were doing. I think at several points it ventures into the land of stupidity, which none of its predecessors got remotely close to doing. The Forky character for me is I don't know, not for me. I think the strengths are enough that it like we were saying, it's quite watchable. And in the grand scheme of things, it is another technical success for Pixar. It is above average as a film, but this is a sequel to what really is a perfect trilogy. It wasn't needed. I don't particularly care for it. I'm giving it a C+ because I don't think it is a bad film. I think it is better than average. As a sequel, if I was just rating it as a sequel, I would go close to F.
Yeah, if it was just a sequel in sequel quality, it's in the F range.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I am trying to be objective here. There's certainly a lot more good than bad about this film. And I think it is a better than average film.
Yeah. Last statement from me. In a vacuum, if this was like a DreamWorks film and they were trying to tell a story about toys and one of the toys is having a self-identity crisis, this is a damn good film in a vacuum.
Right. If it wasn't a sequel to Toy Story 3, you mean?
But if I didn't already know who Woody was, if I didn't know who Buzz already was, if I didn't know anything about that I learned from the first 3 films.
Right.
And with that perspective, and I'm a 8-year-old seeing this film for the first time, this is a damn good time.
Sure. Of course. You know, it's funny. Have you ever heard people talk about Godfather 3 kind of like that? Like, well, if you like ignore like the first 2, it's got good stuff in it. It's like it's impossible to ignore the first 2.
Yeah, you can't. Like, it's just
it's such a stupid way to look at the Godfather.
It's just great.
Godfather 3 apologists are fascinating to me. That is,
it's so weird.
I don't know if it's the worst sequel ever made, but it's one of them.
I love the perspective of, well, as long as we pretend it didn't happen, it's okay.
Well, I think time will be kinder to Toy Story 4 than Godfather 3.
Yeah.
Although, you know what? We talked about this on the Two Jakes episode. That came out the same year as the Godfather 3. Say what you want about Godfather 3. It has a real legacy to it. The Two Jakes has nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, and Toy Story 4, it does have a legacy, whether we like it or not. It keeps Toy Story going, and it's still very well referenced in the Disney parks.
Yeah, and I get why. I still think they weren't going to make a sequel to Toy Story 3, and then it like somehow made $1 billion and became the #1 movie of 2010. They're like,
Well, here we are in 2026, and I was having a conversation with a friend about what's coming out this year, and it's just the question of which one's going to do the best, right? It's really the question of which Disney film is going to make the most at the global box office. Is it going to be Avengers? Is it going to be The Mandalorian? Is it going to be...
It's not going to be The Mandalorian.
Is it going to be live action Moana?
No.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be Toy Story.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. That's a very safe bet. I mean, Avengers, who knows?
Like, that one is a really big head scratcher, because if it for some reason is actually mind-blowingly good, I will color me shocked. Color me shocked.
I think the problem with Avengers is they have no momentum.
No. They have the only thing. So I'm clocking it of at the time of this recording, the only thing on right now is the Daredevil series, which is a TV series that is not directly tied to Avengers.
That's the blind guy, right?
Yeah. And
I know, I was just being a dick. I know.
Yeah, no, but there's no other tie-in to Endgame.
No,
that's building up momentum. They did kind of have a string of it earlier in the year with all of the mini trailer releases, but even then, I
don't even know what that is.
No content at all. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot a film. The Spider-Man. There is a Spider-Man film coming out later this year.
Technically, a Sony film.
Is it?
Marvel makes them, but Sony, any Spider-Man movie you put on, even on Disney Plus, what's the first logo you see? It's Sony.
Sony. I think who gets the toy? Toy cut.
It's probably split.
Yeah.
I could go into the MCU book I have and give you a better answer, but I don't want to do that for the sake of the listeners on this episode.
Yeah.
The details are in that book. I can tell you if you're curious. Remind me, I'll look it up.
I am curious, just because I'd imagine the toy sales alone are just so lucrative.
Because I think Sony, to my knowledge, only has the film rights to the character, maybe
and
not the even merchandising rights.
I was gonna say, even the global box office dollars compared to toy sales, I'd take toy sales.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, that's it for Toy Story 4. I hope everyone has a great time this weekend going to the theater to see Toy Story 5. Write in and tell us what you think. Thanks for listening, and see you next time on Why Wasn't It Better?